Hot cross buns are a delicious sign of spring, aren't they? But if you don't have time to make those yeast buns, well, you need a quicker recipe, and my hot cross muffins taste exactly like a hot cross bun in a fraction of the time to make them. Let's get right to it. The first thing I need to do is melt my butter. I like to bake with unsalted butter, of course. A little more. Perfect. And while the butter melts, I can take care of the dry ingredients. What I love about this hot cross muffin recipe is, you can mix it by hand, but everything goes into one base bowl. I'll start with my all-purpose flour and add those textbook hot cross bun spices. Isn't it amazing? That combination of cinnamon, clove, and allspice in an autumn recipe, well, it suits apples and pumpkin and other flavors, but when you put it in a hot cross bun, it immediately makes you think of spring. I also have a little bit of nutmeg here. I'll grate that in. And I've got a combination of baking powder and baking soda that go into the recipe. More baking powder than soda, and then just a little bit of salt. And I'll sift this all together. Now I can set that off to the side while I combine my wet ingredients. And even though sugar is technically a dry ingredient, once you liquefy it, well, it dissolves. So I'll start with my sugar and I'll add some lemon zest. A good hot cross anything should have a hint of citrus flavor to it. And I think that's what makes it taste a little more spring-like in combination with those spices. I also need about a tablespoon of lemon juice. So I'll just cut my lemon in half. That'll activate the baking soda. And now for my 2% milk. 2 eggs. And just a touch of honey. When I make traditional hot cross buns, I always put in a little bit of honey. And it's a combination of the honey aroma and the taste. And it's amazing how a little bit of honey goes a long way, really rounds out the flavors. Once you've got all your wet ingredients combined, then you add your melted butter at the end. If the butter's still warm, that's absolutely okay. The nice thing about making a muffin, most muffin recipes have this 2-step method. You sift your dry ingredients, you combine your wet ingredients, and then you bring the two together. You want to whisk this batter just until it comes together. You don't see any lumps, but you don't want to overmix it. And that's a general rule for all muffin recipes. If you overmix your muffins, say you use a stand mixer or electric beaters, you may find your muffins develop a dome top to them or a peak, and they'll just be a little bit tough. Now it's time for those hot cross additions. Whether it's a hot cross bun or a muffin, that combination of currants or raisins and candied peel is just, the way it smells when these muffins bake is incredible. Now you do have the choice of currants or raisins. I like currants, especially for the muffins because they're so small. I like the tang of dried cranberries and that little pop of color. And that last addition, a bit of diced candied orange peel. You could use candied lemon peel too. You can buy it pre-done, but I'll tell you, right here on the Oh Yum channel, I have a fantastic video so you can make your own. And honestly, once you've made your own candied peel, you'll never go back. A lot of fruit goes into hot cross muffins, and that's what makes them so good. With this recipe, you can get 12 extra large hot cross muffins in the large tulip cups, or you'll get 24 regular size muffins. I can feel that the muffin batter is frothing because that lemon juice and even the honey activates the baking soda a little bit. I've preheated my oven to 375. The extra large muffins take about 30 minutes. If you're doing the regular size, the 2 dozen of them, they take only 5 to 10 minutes less. Here are the muffins out of the oven, and you can really see how they expand as they bake. Now that they've cooled completely, they are ready for the crosses. Now, with a hot cross bun, you have the choice of doing an icing cross or an actual dough cross. Being a muffin, we have to go with an icing cross. And this is a simple glaze, icing sugar and water. I do like to add a little bit of meringue powder. So this is dried egg whites. It helps the cross dry quickly and stay in place. It doesn't crack or fall off. So I stir that in, and then I'll add a little bit of water and see if I have to add some more. When I'm making a glaze like this, I don't bother sifting the icing sugar. The water dissolves it. You won't have any lumps. When I'm making a sticky bun glaze, I want it kind of loose so I can flow and drizzle it on top of the sticky buns, but I want a little more precision here. So this is a little bit thicker. Just give it a test. You can see how it's holding its shape. For piping the crosses, you can use a disposable piping bag, or here's an easy way to make a parchment paper cone. Take a right angle triangle piece of parchment, and the tip of your piping bag will actually be across from that right angle. And you bring all your points together as you wrap them around each other. So all the points meet at the top. And then you can't staple or tape parchment paper, it won't stay, so you just fold it over at the seam, like so. And now you've got your parchment cone. When you fold your filled parchment cone, fold it with the seam away. That'll keep the tip sealed so you won't end up with any leaks. I like to give these crosses about an hour to dry. If you don't have the meringue powder to add, the crosses will work and dry just fine, but you'll give it a little extra time. Oh, these smell so good. That aroma between the spices and the citrus together, it really does make me think of spring. These are just absolutely beautiful and ready to go. Look at that, just like a delicious yeast-raised hot cross bun, but made in a fraction of the time. But like a good hot cross bun, I like to put a bit of butter on mine. I love the small currants, the tanginess of the dried cranberry, and of course that citrus with the spice. This is such a perfect taste of spring. We're only at the beginning of Anna's Spring Favorites. I have more recipes coming your way. I'll see you again soon.